welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a bunch of food prep, so I thought I would take you guys with me. I'm planning on doing a roasted tomato sauce. I'm gonna make some cream cheese cookies they're good, especially with coffee and tea, they're awesome. And I'm gonna try some pepperoni chips to go with our guacamole because we're gonna have taco salads for dinner. So I'm just gonna kind of bring you along with me. I'll show you what I'm doing. They're all pretty simple, and we'll see what else I do. I don't know, we'll see, but I thought I'd just bring you along. Having some coffee now. My house is always full of kids, so this is how I make it through, and it's one of them now. I need one of those rugs. I've seen them on Instagram where it's like there's a lot of kids in here. And that's true. They may not all be mine, but there always seems to be a lot of kids in my house. So I think I need one of those rugs to kind of warn people before they come in the house, just in case they want to turn around and leave. The version that I'm making, you actually put in the microwave. So you just take like 2 paper towels and then put the pepperonis on and make sure that you don't overlap them. And you need to do it in kind of small batches. And then you can put them like in a container, and supposedly they'll last a week. So I'm going out and making probably a whole bag, we'll see. But they're pretty crispy. I did have to do it a while. I think the recipe said to do it for 1 to 3 minutes. So I guess you just have to check it, but they're pretty crispy. They're not bad, they're good. I could see how this would be a good replacement. Alrighty, I've been working on the pepperoni chips, and this is how many I did. So it's just a few. I don't know if these will be a hit with guacamole or not, but they are really good. They're actually really, really good, and they're pretty crispy. So we will give these a try, and hopefully everyone will like them. I don't think I'll do it super often, but I think it would be great to have as an option if you wanted to serve some low carb options if you're having a party. So, yep, I think those are gonna be good. Okay guys, I'm gonna be making a roasted tomato sauce. We had a bunch of tomatoes that we were gifted, and they're starting to go bad, and I wanna make sure that we don't lose them. So I'm just gonna do a roasted tomato sauce, and this is really, really basic. I'm basically just going to use tomatoes, and I'm using a bunch. I'm going to use garlic. I'm going to use some salt and pepper and Italian seasoning. And I'm actually going to use some oregano that I dehydrated. And that's pretty much it. If I had basil, I would throw that in too, and that would give this a really great flavor. But I don't have any. So we're just going to use what we have on hand and get this processed so we don't lose these tomatoes. And for this, all you have to do is basically cut these in half. I'm going to cut the tips off as well. And just throw them in. So we're going to go through and cut up all these tomatoes, throw them in, and then we're going to throw the rest of our ingredients in, and we're going to roast them for about an hour. I've got my oven set to 375. One of the things I wanted to mention with doing a sauce like this is if you were going to want to use it up, see there's some bad places on here. We are already starting to lose these, so I'm just going to cut that off. It'll be fine. But if you wanted to use this right after making it, this would make a great bruschetta topping because you're going to leave it kind of chunky. And so you could throw in some basil and just serve this over some nice warm grilled bread, and that would be amazing. And super simple. The other thing that would be really good is to throw your sauce over top of some warm pasta. And that is going to probably be some of the best pasta you'll have, because you're kind of letting your garden fresh tomatoes kind of take center stage. And I just find that just makes the best sauce when you're using your summer ripened tomatoes from your garden. So there we go. We've got all of our tomatoes done. I'm gonna wipe this off. And your next thing you're gonna do is just get some garlic. I'm gonna probably use I'm gonna use this big one. Actually, that might be 2. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna use that. I think I'm gonna use 3 pretty good size ones. Get that off. And yeah, that looks good. I'm just gonna throw that in, just whole. You're gonna let that roast for an hour. The garlic's gonna break down, and when you go back in there with your potato masher and give it a good mash, it's just gonna break apart, and it's not gonna be too strong. It'll actually kind of have a sweet flavor to it, and it's just gonna be really mellow and delicious. I think that's good. That ended up being actually 4, so we'll just throw that in. Next thing, I'm gonna get some olive oil and drizzle in there. And you wanna be generous. You wanna be generous with it. And I'll link a recipe down below, like a really basic one. Sprinkle in some salt. Pepper. An Italian seasoning. Just gonna kind of shake it in my hand. And my oregano. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna roast it in the oven, and I'll be checking on it periodically. It's probably gonna go about an hour. Alrighty, I also was gifted with the tomatoes some of these peppers, and I'm pretty sure that they are just like an orange mini bell pepper, but I'm not sure. So I'm gonna taste it and hope that I'm right. Yeah, it's just a sweet mini bell pepper. Whew, thank goodness. I didn't know if it was gonna be spicy. I sure didn't want to be in pain, but sometimes you just have to go for it. Thank goodness I was right. So I'm just gonna cut these up, and since they are just mini bell peppers, I'll probably cook these with a little bit of onion, and we're gonna have taco salads tonight, so this will be perfect to throw on top and utilize these. So that's what I'm gonna do. And we are waiting for our roasted tomato sauce to get done, and I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like afterwards. I'll show you. I'll mash it up with my potato masher, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alrighty, it is done. I just pulled it out of the oven, and it's still kind of warm. I did let it cool a little bit, but I'm just gonna show it to you. Kind of mashing it up. It is still warm, but it looks so good, and it smells amazing. And you can see that garlic just falls apart, just kind of melts into the sauce. So I'm just gonna mash this up, and it's, like I said, it's gonna be chunky, which I like, and I'm gonna let it completely cool, and then I'm gonna put it in a container, and I'll freeze it, and we'll have some really yummy homemade tomato sauce. Okay, I wanted to show you how much I got, and the consistency. And I tasted this, and it is fantastic. It tastes so good, you could practically drink it. So it's all done. It's cooled down, and I'm gonna pop it in my freezer. Okay, next I'm gonna make the cream cheese cookies. And we're doubling the recipe today because we love these cookies so much. But I will link the recipe that I use down below. That way that, you know, if you want to make them, you can give them a try. But what I have going on in here is 6 tablespoons of cream cheese. And then you're going to throw in some softened butter. And again, I'm doubling the recipe, so I don't want to confuse you if I tell you I've got like a full cup of butter when it really calls for half. So I'll just link it down below. But so I've got some butter I'm going to add. And then you're going to add in your sweetener. So the cream cheese, the butter, and your sweetener. And we're just going to get that all combined. Okay, so next you're going to add in your vanilla and eggs, and since I'm doubling the recipe, I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. You could probably do lemon extract in this, and that would be really good as well. And we're going to throw in our eggs, and since I'm doubling, 2 eggs. Alright. And you're just going to blend that up till it's nice and smooth, and we'll add our dry ingredients. Okay, so next you want to add in your coconut flour, and since I'm doubling it, I'm adding in a cup. And then you want to add in some baking powder, and I'm going to do cause for half a teaspoon, but I'm going to do 1 teaspoon. So. And then you want to add in half, well, it calls for 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but since I'm doubling it, I'm going to do half. And then that's all of the ingredients. And so I'm going to mix this up and get it all smooth and into a dough, and then I'll show you what we need to do after that. Alright guys, so I went on and got that all mixed together. And what I've done is I've dumped it out onto a piece of parchment paper. This is a very coarse but sticky kind of dough, so you don't want to be grabbing this with your hands. So that's what the parchment paper is going to help you mold it into a log, like a cookie dough log. So that's what you want to do. Just kind of, now this takes a little bit of time, but you just want to kind of smush it together into a log, and do the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just try to even it out as much as possible, because what you're going to do is you're going to wrap this up, and the recipe says to put it in the fridge, but I always just put it in the freezer. That way it does it pretty quick, and I can get them baked. So it will harden up a little bit, and then you'll be able to slice it with a knife, and then you can just lay them out on your baking sheet and bake them. And it's so simple. You could even have this dough pre-made ahead of time and in the freezer, and I think it would do awesome. So I'm gonna get this all molded out, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So I just pulled this out of the freezer, and I've got a baking sheet with some parchment paper in it, and then I've also got my oven preheating to 350. And you're gonna bake these, I think the recipe says 15 to 18 minutes until they're nice and golden. So I'm just gonna slice these up, and mine don't ever look like what the recipe picture looks like, but that's okay. They still taste really good. So we'll call these are gonna look more like a biscotti. They certainly don't look like a cookie, and I know this looks pretty sad, but I promise they are super, super good. So we're gonna call them biscottis instead of cookies. But they are so good. They kind of remind me of a shortbread cookie, but you can taste the cream cheese. They are really good. They're starting to look more like a cookie, but yeah. So I'm just gonna get all these sliced, and I'm gonna bake them, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. This is what they look like. You can see they're nice and golden brown on the bottom, and I've got another batch in the oven right now cooking, and so total that's gonna give me 29 cookies, and I mean some of them a little bit smaller, but that's gonna be awesome. So, and I think that for the like an average size cookie, I think there's 1 gram of net carb. So yeah, they're awesome cookies. So you should totally give them a try. I will make sure to link the recipe down below.